Today I'm going to give you a few guitar features that you might want to avoid as a beginner or entry-level guitar player. If you're just now kind of entering into the hobby, it doesn't matter what age really, just if you're just starting to pick guitar playing up, these are things that you might want to either totally avoid or at least really kind of understand before you get a guitar with these features. The reason I mention these things is because keeping things simple as you get started and not overly complicating the whole process is something that might just get you guitar playing quicker, like just get you playing, get you more creative, right? Now let's set a couple of parameters here. There's going to be a bunch of people that jump in the comments and they're going to say, yeah, but I have this beginner guitar. Yes, okay, I understand that everybody does things a little different. You can take what you hear today and completely throw it out the window if you like. The other caveat is this. A lot of folks that watch this channel are enthusiasts. We're guitar nerds. We nerd out about stuff, and so we found reasons to like and modify and mess around with all the cool things around guitars, right? So that's kind of the path we've gone down. In fact, I mean, I make pickups for a living. I nerd out about guitars 7 days a week around here. That's just kind of my life. But for those just getting into the hobby, this will kind of help you simplify things a little bit. The first one on our list will show you exactly what I'm talking about. If I was you and I was an entry-level guitar player, I would avoid any guitar with a double action tremolo or any kind of tremolo that's floating, like a Floyd Rose, okay? I don't have a Floyd Rose guitar around, but this PRS will serve the purpose in explaining it. Basically, what we have here is you can go up and down with it, right? Like it's totally floating. The other guitar like this would be something with a Bigsby type tremolo on it. The reason I talk about this is because there's a few different factors setup-wise that you kind of have to really get right so that the guitar will stay in tune for you all the time. It is very frustrating as a new player to have a guitar that doesn't stay in tune because you never really gauge your own progress. You might sound kind of crappy, but you're probably fine, but your guitar's not totally in tune. And so having a guitar that adds that layer of complexity to it is something that I personally would avoid. Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't get a guitar with a tremolo system on it. Let me show you. Now, my PRS Silver Sky here, and any sort of Strat type guitar like this, where the tremolo is all the way down, right? So it's actually like resting on the body. It will provide a level of stability because you don't actually, it's not floating in the middle of somewhere, right? It's sitting down. So as long as you don't use it, it's not doing anything. And then as you grow into it and you want to start using it, then you can start to understand it. So don't not get a guitar with a tremolo system. Just maybe not have it floating so that you don't have that added layer of complexity. The next feature I would at least, I don't know if I would totally avoid this, but at least understand what you're getting when you buy a guitar that has overly complex switching. Now, normally a guitar will have a switch, for example, it'll have a volume probably and a tone knob for a couple of the pickups, and it might have a switch here that says it's going to use this pickup, and then it's going to use these two, and then it's going to use these two, and then it's going to use this one, right? So you can select which one of the pickups you want to use. This particular guitar now has a couple other ones, so you can pull up here and you can pull up here, and it does a bunch of other things. There are also like a Jaguar or a Jazzmaster has all those switches up here, right? And so adding complexity to an instrument through switching can do a few things. One, it can make you not realize what you're doing sound-wise. If you're trying to understand how guitar tones are built as entering into the hobby, it can be overly complicated to do that. The other thing is that sometimes on the more entry-level instruments, you're buying them at a lower price. So let's say $300 to $500, for example. Sometimes the quality of that switching makes it to where they're not as reliable. So then you end up into a reliability situation, and all of a sudden your guitar is crackling and popping, and now you have to have a repair done. On a more expensive guitar, the actual mechanisms that they use are more reliable, and you have to worry about this a whole lot less. But sometimes on those entry-level instruments, it can be kind of a crapshoot as to how reliable it's going to be. Then you have that further complication of screwing around with that, fixing it, and making sure your guitar works. And I just hate to see you have to deal with all that. The next feature I would either avoid or at least, again, educate yourself on is any sort of neck profile that is sort of extreme. So, you know, there's a lot of, and it also depends on the kind of music that you're playing. So if you're, you know, if you're really a modern player and really want to learn to play really fast, you know, shreddy metal kind of stuff, there's a typical neck profile for that, right? But for the rest of us, and for most of us players, your normal C shape or slim C shape neck will be pretty middle of the road when it comes to that. And you'll be able to pick up basically any guitar. If you learn on a more moderate shaped neck, so C, slim C, maybe there's going to be a modern C, you know, neck profiles from, you know, 9.5 inches to 12 inches, something like that. Even a 7.25. This is a 7.25, but most of the time, you know, like 9.5 inch radius to 12 inch radius in there, it's going to just sort of be middle of the road. And what's cool about that is as you become comfortable on those more middle of the road neck profiles, then you'll be able to pick up one that's a little fatter, or a little skinnier, or a little flatter, or a little, you know, a little more modern. And you'll be able to kind of easily adapt to them because you've sort of learned the whole middle section, right? That 9.5 to 12 inch radius fretboard and that slim C, modern C, normal C, right? And so keeping them a little bit moderate. The cool part about this is that most sort of entry level to mid level guitars, if you're looking at like Fenders and Gibsons and PRSs and stuff, are gonna have those neck profiles, and so you don't need to really nerd out about this a whole lot. You know, any of your classic vibes, any of your Fender standards, any of your Made in Mexico stuff, any of your PRS SE stuff, any of your Epiphones are going to be relatively middle of the road, and you don't really need to nerd out about it a whole lot. And is, you know, in those kind of entry and mid-level guitars, you'll be totally fine. I personally would just really understand that if you go with a very extreme U shape or really fat neck or really slim like Ibanez Wizard neck, know what you're getting into and understand that how you learn that neck is going to affect how you learn other necks in the future, like the feel of them. The other thing that I would sort of, again, either avoid or understand as you buy them is very more exotic appointed guitars that are very inexpensive. Okay, so this guitar is about a $2,500 guitar. It's made in the United States. This is a TTG HST model that we sell here. But this is like a handmade guitar by a couple of guys in Colorado, right? And so the features that it has, the premium features, like the block inlays, the binding around the neck, the binding around the body, the finish itself, the type of top that it has, all those things are like the real legit kind, right? But if we're in an entry-level situation where we're looking at a $300 to $500 guitar, there's a few things that you kind of have to look out for, if not avoid. One of them is going to be the fretwork on the guitar needs to be good, and sometimes it can be a little iffy, especially if you've got like a bound neck like this. So binding on very inexpensive guitars can be kind of iffy. It can sort of be all over the place. It could be a little lumpy. It could be a little susceptible to humidity and weather changes, and they could get lumpy and then the lumps could go away. The frets could be sharp and then the sharpness could go away. I've seen inlays on necks, because they're not real mother of pearl, they're like a paper sort of stuff, can lift a little bit. Sometimes you can have binding cracking around the guitar here. Sometimes the cheap laminate tops can be amazing And sometimes they can be not amazing on an inexpensive guitar. So just when you're wanting a whole bunch of features for not a lot of money, you know, that $300 to $500 guitar that looks like this, but it's only a $300 to $500 guitar, just be wary that you're not getting exactly the same thing, and you just might need to look out for things that could actually affect the playability, like the binding on the neck not staying where it's supposed to. And then another thing that I think is really important that a lot of people view as a upgrade because they hear the words stainless steel frets, and it's not necessarily an upgrade for a few reasons. One is stainless steel frets is sort of a personal preference, really. If you're playing guitar for hours and hours and hours a day, and it's the only guitar that you have, then you may, at some point in your guitar playing career, need stainless steel frets. The majority of players don't. Okay, the majority of players don't. And here's why it's important to understand this as a beginner. Again, inexpensive instruments who purport themselves to have stainless steel frets, they may have a version of stainless steel frets, but not the stainless steel frets. Okay, for those of you who don't know, like I'm a knife collector, and so understanding various steels and the hardnesses and how it all works, it's kind of nerd out about that stuff. And what I'll say is, not all stainless steel is created equal. There's 2 or 3 different grades of stainless steel that are used on guitars. On very inexpensive guitars, there's one that's only marginally harder than normal nickel frets like these. And there are more expensive stainless steel frets that are like about 3 times as hard as normal nickel frets like these. The thing is that there's a big cost differential. So when you're looking at a guitar that costs a few $1,000s, then the maker can sometimes justify putting stainless steel frets on there because it takes about 3 to 4 times as long to do. It's very hard on tools, and the materials are actually more expensive. So it's a more expensive endeavor to put stainless steel frets on a guitar. So if you see, and here's what I'll tell you, if let's say I wanted to order this guitar with stainless steel frets on it, it would be like a $400 to $500 upgrade. Okay, so now you're looking at a $400 to $500 guitar with quote unquote stainless steel frets on it. What are you actually getting? You're getting a couple of things. One, you're getting stainless steel that's not very stainless, it's not very hard, and you're also getting a fret that, if it has problems, if you have high frets and low frets, is more difficult to fix. So if you've got an inexpensive guitar with bad fretwork and it's stainless, you're compounding potential problems with the instrument. If it was me, I wouldn't get stainless steel frets. Well, I don't like them anyways, but on an inexpensive guitar especially, it is a feature that I would avoid as a beginner. I know that the comment section is going to be full of folks that disagree with me on various things like this, and you may disagree as well, because cool factor is a thing. You buy a guitar because it looks a certain way, because it has a certain feature and you think it's awesome, that inspires you to play, then that's what you should do, right? If it has one of these features on it and you really want it, don't not buy the guitar just because I said so. Buy the guitar. If it inspires you and you think it's awesome, buy it. I just want to put these few things out there as sort of an education, because it really helps to understand like what can make the guitar more complicated. What I really don't want to see is, I don't want to see you buy a guitar with stuff on it that makes your life harder, then you put the guitar down and never pick it back up again. That's the real key here. I just want to make sure that you keep playing. So there you go. If you have other things like this that you would avoid as a beginner, if you've got experience playing, let's say, and you're watching this video and you want to help by saying, hey, you know what, this is another thing I would stay away from, put that in the comments. Now, we don't get super negative about this, because we want people to enjoy guitar, and we want to expand from being an entry-level guitar player into this cool stuff as we go. So there's a balance to it. But get in the comments, chat about it. Thanks for hanging out. If you need guitar stuff, you know where to find us. You can scan that little thing on the screen right there. You can go to DylanTalksTone and you can buy parts for your guitar. You can buy pickups for your guitar. You can actually buy that guitar I was just holding with the burst top on it. And if nothing else, do me a favor and just like and subscribe and watch some more videos. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you in the next video.